Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the September, joint meeting of the Authority and Canal Corporation. I'm pleased to again share this wonderful gathering along with my fellow committee members, Dennis Trainor, B. Gonzalez, Laurie Wheelock, Cecily Morris, Michael Cusick. Lewis Warren is traveling and unable to be with us and officially and formally excused. Justin, Adam, and others assembled in White Plains. Joe Kessler here with me in Buffalo. And as always, this meeting has been duly noticed as required by open meetings law. With that, I'm pleased to call the meeting to order. Hopefully, we've all had a chance to review the materials in advance, the agenda included. Unless anyone has any thoughts on amendments to the agenda, I ask for a motion to approve it as presented.
So moved.
Thanks, Dennis. A second. Thank you, B. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Well, we have a full, but I'm sure it'll be an efficient agenda as we typically do. We will start this meeting in executive session. If I can, I'd ask for a motion to do so pursuant to Section 105 of the Public Officers Law.
So moved.
Thanks, Michael. Second for Dennis. Third for Cecily. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will be back with you as quickly as possible. Half hour, 45 minutes. We'll be back together in public session. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. If I could, I'd ask for a motion to resume the meeting in open session.
So moved.
Thanks, Dennis. Have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Laurie. Appreciate it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. As always, sure you know votes were taken during exec session. We've been previously polled regarding any conflicts. I know everyone's been responsive to that. If there's any late breaking changes or updates, make sure you duly notify Karen. Okay, we will now pivot to our formal agenda. We have a string of presentations and matters to be discussed. As always, that kicks off with Adam Barsky, our CFO, and financial report and update. Adam, the podium is yours.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, trustees, my colleagues, and members of the public. We'll present today the results through the end of July. The posting times didn't allow us enough time to put in August, but you'll see that for the full board meeting. But through the end of July, we are tracking, as we said, not only to plan, but above plan. In fact, we've already made our full year plan as of the end of July. So that's all good news from that standpoint. And, August was also according to the budget forecast, slightly over. The main drivers of this are, I would explain it in two ways in terms of above the line, below the line. Below the line, what I mean is things like non-operating income and expenses, particularly investment income. Our investment portfolio has exceeded what we originally budgeted based on the fact that interest rates have remained higher than most people would have predicted this time last year. But we do know that rates are starting to come down. The Fed has a meeting tomorrow, and we're fully expecting a 25 basis point cut. Maybe there'll be one or two others before the end of the year. A lot of that is going to depend on watching the tariffs and whether or not those are filtering through the economy in a form of higher prices, putting in pressure on inflation. Until the Fed gets that get comfortable with that, I think they're going to be hesitant to be too aggressive on the cutting side. And at the same time, we're seeing the labor market very tight, weak in terms of new hiring. A lot of factors regarding that: immigration policy, peak retirement of baby boomers hitting 65 still and leaving the workforce. All of that is creating supply demand pressures in the labor market, and it's raising some concern from the Fed. And so that's what they're trying to balance, this need to keep unemployment low while at the same time keep inflation low towards their target of 2%. So that's more of an, I would say, an anomaly that we don't expect to continue over the next 4 years as we put together our financial plan. The other half of that, the 50 million, mostly in the generation aspect. We had more hydro generation than we had built into the plan, slightly higher. But really, what's driving it is the fact that we also had higher weather impacts, both in the winter, having more cooling degree days than a normal year, and particularly in the summer, we had much greater warmer heating degree days than, or cooling degree days than we would expect for a normal summer. So all of that has played into getting higher prices. And, as you know, we are hedged 65% on the portfolio, but most of that hedging is really at the hydro plants because our other plants are merchant. So we really never know exactly how much we're going to generate because it depends on what the market is calling for. So we never want to be over hedged there. So when we do see increased demand, particularly for our peaker plants, and this year, particularly for BG, which is having, I think, a historic record year, that we're seeing all the benefit of that at that time. So again, I think all those trends will continue to normalize and revert to a mean over time, but we're certainly seeing the benefit in terms of the performance this year. Any questions on this before we go to full year forecast? Okay, so for the end of year projection, we are, maintaining this view that we'll be $100 million above the current plan. And as we start working on the next 4-year plan over the next few months, those elements here that we consider to be recurring, we will build into the plan. And the benefit of that, it will give us greater capital capacity and greater ability to take on more projects than that we have been looking at, particularly with the renewable portfolio, and also in particularly the REACH program. So if we do have a continued recurring source of revenue, we can now plan on having more of the projects that we've identified in our pipeline being able to go forward, all things being equal. But again, for the end of the year, we think this is a pretty good conservative number. So all things are pointing in a very good direction. Any questions on the end of the year projections?
I don't know if there's anything we can question there other than say a little bit of a wow factor. Kudos to you, the entire organization, for delivering such outstanding results. Would only echo the direction you were just discussing. We've had a few years of very strong performance. Comes at a time, as you've already referenced, Adam, where a lot's expected of us. An increasing amount is expected of us as an organization, and got to have the financial performance to be able to deliver that. So kudos to everyone for really continuing to knock it out of the park and putting us in a strong position to step to the plate and deliver on what's an increasingly higher bar in the years to come. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you to the team for everybody making all this happen. It's definitely a organizational effort.
Okay, any other questions,
item is
anybody?
the-
All right, next item, I know, canals. Want to get out ahead of Q4 here for canals, continued support and subsidy.
Yeah, so we are having the regular release that we normally do before the quarter. And, Canals is, performing according to plan. As you know, a lot of work being done at the canals, particularly on the infrastructure, mitigating risk where possible, doing projects to enhance public access participation, and really looking to make sure that we can continue doing the work that we've been doing, and comes at a time when we're talking about the 200-year anniversary and all the good work that's being done over at the canals. As far as the capital goes, we continue to see support from the state through the budget process. We've received $50 million for the second year in a row. We're obviously in conversations with them, not only to see that continue, but hopefully maybe get more of a forward year commitment so that we can also do some planning around that and see how, having that commitment could actually get more work done faster and hopefully cut costs for all involved. So all things positive there.
So no surprises, nothing out of the ordinary operationally.
No.
Joe, canals is
No surprises.
good summer.
Been a good summer. I think we anticipate good traffic and usage, and our team's on track right to the end of the year, even some commercial traffic. So we're in good shape.
All right, great. Unless there's any questions, well, I don't want to jump here, Adam. Are you asking, or if there's any questions, ask for a motion to recommend the
Yes.
appropriation of the 27 million to full board next week?
Move.
Thanks, Dennis. The second. Thank you, Laurie. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, thanks a bunch, Adam. Well done.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, driving up next to the podium is Patrick in his one of his fleet vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We obviously have many.
Good morning. That is correct, yes. Well, thank you again, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. Good morning, trustees, colleagues, and members of the public. I'm Patrick Monaghan. I am the Director of Fleet Operations for the New York Power Authority. I'm pleased to be here this morning to present for your consideration a 5-year value contract to purchase vehicles and equipment for a total of $53 million. As noted on the slide, the purpose of these contracts is to procure light and medium duty vehicles for NYPA and canals to support project execution, as well as operation and maintenance activities. In addition, these contracts will also support decarbonization and fleet electrification goals for Vision 2030 Renewed. They will provide flexibility to navigate the complexities and challenges of the vehicle marketplace, especially in terms of the number of vehicles we purchase and the specialized equipment that we require to meet our strategic priorities. And finally, they will be utilized on an as-needed basis to serve as the primary method of purchase in addition to existing processes. Along with what's listed on the slide, I'd like to provide some additional background regarding this contract. The first contract of this type was implemented in 2023. At that time, we were having tremendous difficulty obtaining vehicles due to the supply chain issues still stemming from the pandemic. The value contract at that time allowed us to work directly with awarded vendors and provided flexibility to ensure that we received exactly what we needed for our internal stakeholders. As a result, we were able to continue keeping our fleet current and remain on our path to fleet electrification with minimal interruption. However, the contracts worked so well that we quickly exhausted the funds. This time around, we took a broader look at our forecast for purchases over the next 5 years, and in collaboration with Canals, arrived at the proposed dollar figure for this contract. Based on our forecasting needs for the next 5 years, we are confident that this amount will be sufficient to meet the vehicle needs of NYPA and Canals. We will have the ability to easily purchase not only light-duty electrified vehicles, but also medium-duty, which will help us meet our electrification goals for 2030 and 2035, respectively. We issued a request for proposals on June 20th of this year, and at the closing of the Ariba event on July 14th, we received a total of 6 proposals. An evaluation of the proposals was conducted by members of my team, as well as members from Strategic Supply Management. Following the evaluation, we intend to award contracts to all 6 vendors as listed on this slide. And the criteria we used for selection included meeting technical specifications, the quality of the goods and/or competence of the vendor, if the vendor took any exceptions to our contract terms and conditions, and finally, any previous history we may have had working with the vendor. In conclusion, these contracts will allow us to continue optimizing our fleet by extending life cycles and meeting the fleet electrification goals for Vision 2030 renewed, while at the same time ensuring that we have the flexibility to meet the specific needs of our internal customers so that they can in turn effectively and safely achieve their missions. Thank you for your consideration. Can I answer any questions?
I'm surprised you only got 6 responses. Educate me on why that's the case.
I'm not exactly clear on that myself, but we did open up the solicitation to several vendors, and I will admit I was rather surprised myself. I can get some more information about that just to find out. We have many vehicle vendors that are under system.
We've worked with these 6 in the past. We've worked with these 6 in the past, or have we worked with others that have dropped out, or is this a rerun? Are we rinse and repeat with this list, or what?
We have worked with all the vendors that are on this list, with probably the exception of Bollinger Motors. I'm not clear if we've worked with them in the past, but all the other ones that are listed here, we have had dealings with previously. So in some ways, yes, to your point, there are some vehicle vendors on this list that were on the last one as well.
And if I could also add, Chairman, a lot of the local regional suppliers are already part of OGS suite of contracts. So they're reluctant to bid on our work independently, and because they feel that the OGS covers them for future buying opportunities.
You're cut out there, John. The OGS, I mean, educate me, clarify for us on that. There's more.
So the Office of General Services for the state also goes out to bid for similar fleet vehicles.
Okay.
And a lot of the suppliers in the area around the Utica area belong to the OGS suite of contracts. So they typically don't want to bid OGS as well as NYPA because they feel the OGS covers it. But sometimes the OGS doesn't provide us with enough of a market for the vehicles that we need. So we felt that we needed to do both. So we have the ability to buy off of OGS with the other suppliers that are there, as well as these new contracts.
Got it. How many vehicles do we get for $53 million?
There's quite a few, actually. So, yeah.
Well, quantify. I assume it's quite a few. Quantify that for me.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So we will probably look at getting each year approximately 20 to 30 light duty vehicles. And then on the heavy duty side, probably about that same amount.
So we're 50 vehicles a year?
50 vehicles per year, correct, yes.
For $10 million bucks? What's the, okay. 50 vehicles, 10 million, okay. All right. Any other questions? If I could ask for a motion to recommend the item to full board for approval.
So moved.
Thanks, Dennis. I heard a second in there. Karen will sort that out. All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, thanks, Patrick. Drive on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sandra, workforce development, a continuing and always positive, energizing discussion.
Yes, good morning, Chairman, trustees, NYPA colleagues, and the public. Year two, I'm here today to request $12 million in funding for year two of our Clean Energy Workforce Development Initiative. Beginning in state fiscal year 24-25, NYPA is authorized as deemed feasible and advisable by the trustees to make available up to $25 million annually to the New York State Department of Labor to fund programs established or implemented by or within the Department of Labor, including but not limited to the Office of Just Transition and programs for workforce training and retraining to prepare workers for employment for work in the renewable energy sector. In March of 2024, NYPA and the Department of Labor entered into a cooperation agreement to collaborate on programs related to workforce training, retraining, and apprenticeship opportunities in the renewable energy field. The initiatives may be advanced by either entity or co-branded by NYPA and DOL. To that end, for the current 25-26 fiscal year, NYPA issued a request for application seeking applications from parties who can build or expand New York's training infrastructure and capacity to develop and deliver clean energy training, hands-on experience, wraparound services, and job placement assistance to new and existing workers. The RFA was issued in August of this year, and it includes 3 competitive application cycles. The first application cycle opened this August 15th and closed yesterday, September 15th, and we're really excited. We got a tremendous response, super exciting. The evaluation committee already started reviewing applications. Following review and scoring, we'll prepare our funding recommendations to present it to you at the next Finance Committee meeting. Additionally, in conjunction with our collaboration agreement, the New York State Department of Labor has identified 2 DOL-led programs that I'm here today to request a total of $12 million for. The first is a request for $7 million. The New York State Department of Labor is requesting $7 million to issue a request for application to expand or create training programs in electric vehicle maintenance and repair, EV charging stations, repair and maintenance, EV fleet maintenance, and to support wraparound services for students in these programs. Eligible parties can be a standalone provider or a partnership between 2 entities, meaning that one can provide training and one will provide the supportive services. Eligible programs are required to enroll at least 35% of their participants from disadvantaged communities, and the RFA will be issued with an award period targeted for February to March of 2026, with a performance period between 26 and 28. The second request is for $5 million for the New York State Department of Labor Support Services Funds Initiative. The Department of Labor is requesting funds to issue a notice of obligational authority to local workforce development boards to fund supportive services throughout the state for participants enrolled in clean energy training programs. Supportive services will include services such as childcare, transportation, student fees, and books. Participants must be enrolled in a clean energy training program or enrolled in STEM areas of study that support renewable energy in 2- and 4-year degree programs at a SUNY school throughout the state. Priority for participation will be given to individuals with additional barriers to employment. The Department of Labor will contract with the workforce development boards in winter of 2026 for a spring 2026 launch. The stipends for the students will range from $2,500 to $5,000 depending on the program. And the program will be ongoing until the funds run out. Thank you. I will take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate that. Questions, thoughts, comments?
Can I just ask, so when I was going through the summary, it talked about how we've approved previously up to 25 million. So this 12 is part of that 25, or the 12 is in addition to the 25? I'm just trying to having a hard time wrapping my head around the number and where it fits in.
Sure. Sure. This is year two. We have not obligated any of the 25 million. So this 12 million is part of year two's 25 million.
Thank you.
Sandra?
Yes, year one was $9 million for two different initiatives that they had.
Sandra,
Go ahead, B.
Cecily, are you done? Do you have any other questions?
I'm done. You go ahead, and then if I have more, I'll chime in. Thank you.
So I know that there was mention of creating a site on the NYPA, a page on the NYPA site for clarification and process for the workforce development initiative. Has that happened yet? Because I can't find it.
Yes. We don't have our own landing page. However, it is under the workforce development site. I can send you the link after the meeting. We have a FAQ in there with commonly asked questions. We have the process and all of the documents for the RFA. And then all of the press releases for past awards.
Okay, because I tried to search just in general on the NYPA site around workforce training initiatives, and it didn't take me anywhere. So it's not connecting, right?
Go ahead.
I would say, so B, we're working with communications to try and make it more transparent. So it's a work in progress, but it is going to get there. It's just not fully fleshed out at the moment.
All right.
But we're working with Charles and team.
If you Google NYPA workforce development, you could get to the page. It's not as easily navigable from the main page, but it is there. And we included that web address on all of the materials that went out as well.
In other words, it's under development, B.
So the partnership with Department of Labor, is that a continuation of, or are they adding some new kind of resources to the work that you're already doing? I'm trying to connect if there's relationship
Sure.
between what I was doing and what you're doing.
So last year we obligated 9 million to them, 5 million for an RFP, which they issued. And they just contracted in July of this year. And then they also gave 4 million to the workforce development boards for training. This year, these are two new initiatives. So the first one is to issue another RFA, but this one is specifically focused on electric vehicles. And the other one is to create this support services funds. It was recommended in the state plan, and also it will be useful because we're very fortunate with our funding that we're able to cover wraparound and support services. However, not all programs are able to do that. So for instance, if someone was enrolled in another program throughout the state that we did not fund, they would be able to tap into this for tuition, childcare, any of those supportive services, as well as if they're enrolled in a 2 or 4 year degree program.
Okay, thank you. And at some point, I know share success stories on an ongoing basis, but are you planning on issuing a report that kind of encompasses the impact of the entire of the entire project, of all the projects?
Yes. So this month, a number, I would say 7 to 8 of the programs that we funded are turning in their 6-month report. So I plan to give a report when I do the November report out and ask for the additional RFA recipients.
Great, thank you.
So I'm going to come back with on B's question. You said your answer was some of the monies will go to people who are not enrolled in programs that we fund. We still have, I'm assuming, mechanisms to follow the effectiveness of those monies that are being spent. In other words, we can't follow it through a program that we're funding. How are we, for the people who are enrolled in I don't know the right word, non-funded program, how do we track the success of our investment?
Sure. So Department of Labor will be tracking that through their local workforce development boards. So each person will be contracted through the money will flow through the workforce development board to the individual. So we'll be able to track who received funding, what program they were in, if they receive funding for a Metro card or if they receive funding for childcare.
And that's part of our agreement with the Department of Labor that information is available. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
So Sandra, this request is within the context of the second bucket of 25 million, right?
Correct. Yes.
And so how adequate is 25 million to accomplish our objectives? If you weren't constrained by a bucket of 25, would you be asking for more?
It is adequate. I think, we've been navigating the landscape of what's happening in the clean energy sector and renewables, and the 25 million is adequate, but it's also making a tremendous impact as well.
Okay. So I give you an opening to ask for more and you're not going to take it.
Well, I won't say that exactly, but yes, it's adequate at this moment.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Sandra? I'd ask for a motion to recommend this item to full board for adoption next week.
So moved.
Thanks, Pete. Cecily, a second?
I'll second.
All right, great. Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thanks very much, Sandra.
Thank you.
Our last discussion item, Nick Gonzalez, regarding loan agreement with, Renewable Energy Development Holding Corporation. Nick.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, trustees, colleagues, and members of the public. I'm Nicholas Gonzalez, Vice President of Clean Energy and Project Finance here at the Authority. I'm here to discuss an intercompany loan facility between the Authority and its wholly owned subsidiary, New York Renewable Energy Development Holdings Corporation. The loan facility is intended to act like a revolver credit for NYRED as it pursues and carries out the authorities granted under Section 27A of the Public Authorities Act for NYPA to own, operate, and finance renewable energy projects in the state of New York. There are several factors driving the recommendation to create this credit between NYPA and its subsidiary. If you recall, NYRED was created in part to isolate the authority from liabilities that may arise from developing and owning renewable energy generation projects. It was also created to facilitate the purchasing of renewable energy project companies and allow for discrete project financings, increasing the number of renewables the authority can build while limited recourse to NYRED and NYPA. However, one of NYPA's advantages in developing renewable energy generation projects comes from its strong AA+ credit rating, which allows NYPA to access capital markets for low-cost financing, including access to tax-exempt financing where it's applicable. NYPA has access to some of the cheapest financing in power, allowing it to be cost-competitive renewable energy generation. NYRED, as a separate entity, does not have a credit rating. Therefore, the organization wanted to find a way to utilize NYPA's strong credit rating while supporting its subsidiary. NYPA has commercial paper facilities with excess capacity that can be issued to fund NYPA's interest in its subsidiaries. The loan facility allows NYPA to issue CP and to lend to NYRED with an additional 50 basis point spread, successfully utilizing NYPA's strong credit rating to support the liquidity needs of NYRED, while also providing a loan that is cheaper than alternatives that NYRED may have access to. Second, the One Big Beautiful Bill and subsequent Treasury guidance has given solar and wind projects until July 5th, 2026 to commence construction, which allows projects to be safe harbored and lock in tax credits. If projects do not meet the commence construction start or get placed in service by the end of 2026, they'll lose at least 30% of the capital stack, increasing the price of renewable energy generation projects. As a result, NYRED is accelerating, pursuing, and prioritizing projects to take advantage of federal tax credits and limit any cost impacts to the people of New York. The acceleration increases NYRED's capital needs and requires NYRED to spend money earlier than previously expected. The intercompany loan facility would give NYRED much needed liquidity in the time between board meetings and facilitate the expansion of renewable energy generation projects for the state while limiting rate impacts. Given NYPA's other investments in key areas to reach carbon emissions goals such as transmission and nuclear, NYPA felt this was the best way to provide liquidity to NYRED, limit its equity contributions to the $300 million already previously committed to, and allow it to maintain a strong credit rating. NYPA expects source of repayment to come from NYRED when it achieves term financing for the projects, which is expected to occur when projects near substantial completion and have a line of sight into operations. Additionally, as NYRED matures and puts more assets into operation, it will have operating cash flow to provide payment to NYPA. In the case of default, NYPA may refuse to lend additional amounts of the unused commitment values, force an acceleration of payment, and seek additional rights and remedies allowed under the agreement and any other statute. Given the benefits of the intercompany loan facility to NYPA and subsidiaries, NYPA staff requests the Finance Committee recommend to the Authorities Board the execution, delivery, and performance of the intercompany loan facility for up to $100 million. I would like to thank you for your time, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks, Nick. I don't know, Nick, Adam, just talk for a minute as the utilization of $100 million, how that's going to be leveraged, what that enables. I know there's a sense of urgency or at least time constraint here, given expiration of credits and shovels in the ground, whatever all. Can you just give us some context of why 100 and why now?
Yeah, we just felt 100 million was an amount that was achievable quickly, as well as given the excess capacity on the revolver credits. I don't know how much untapped we have, but not an unlimited amount there. So we want 100 million seemed like a reasonable number for safe harbor, and we're going to need to spend some money.
What makes 100 reasonable? How did you come up with 100? Why is that relevant? Why is that the number? I'm just trying to understand. I'm not challenging. I'm just trying to understand. Why is 100 a relevant number right now?
Well, for me, Adam told me $100 million. So
we don't want to put that in the minutes.
Based on, I mean, really, it was just based on line of sight of what we saw the need was for now, and we're also trying to make sure there's enough capacity under that CP because we also have other uses for it. We're going to need it for some of the new initiatives we're undertaking. We also utilize it for our energy efficiency program. We've made an effort to get some of that paid down. Some things we've been getting paid down through the state, and we're trying to wait for some of that money to come in as well. We're at about 350 million of outstanding on the CP, and we have up to somewhere between $700 and $900 million in total. So we do have enough capacity to do this 100 million plus plenty of room to do the other things we need, and we'll keep trying to get some of the outstanding paid down so we can create more capacity to do more as we need it. But based on what the pipeline we saw today, that seemed like a number to get what needs to be built and safe harbored immediately in. And if we decide we need more, we will ensure that we come back to the board and ask for additional and demonstrate that it's not going to put pressure on anything else that we need to use that capacity from the CP. But it's very, as Nick said, very cheap financing. It's under 3%, and but to the extent they draw down on it, again, we don't want to have them incur costs that they don't need to, and have that rack up and make their projects less economically viable. So we're just trying to balance all those different needs.
So what's the timeline on utilization of the 100 versus coming back to us for more? I'm just trying to get some context here. You're giving me a little bit of a vague answer here. I mean, I'm sure there was a method to your madness on the 100. I was just
Our
trying
initial
to understand
drawdown will-
use of funds, how what you projected out for, what you're going to need and what's appropriate, and why 100 is a relevant number for us at this point.
Sure, the initial drawdown will occur in October for the summer solar project, which would fund roughly 25 million of the $50 million project costs. So the initial drawdown of 25 million, and we expect a few more drawdowns as we potentially safe harbor projects and have to put either down payments on main power transformers or some type of safe harbor equipment. So that will be spent towards the end of the year as well. And we expect probably roughly 50% utilization of the facility by the first quarter of 2026. So that still gives us $50 million of capacity on the loan agreement going into next year or the Q2 of next year.
Okay. And you obviously think it's worth committing 100 now versus 50 and 50. I'm just trying to understand the rationale.
Well, that gives us the ability to draw down quicker if we need to, based on our conversations with developers to try and prioritize and safe harbor projects. So it's just to provide excess liquidity so that the organization has the ability to pull the trigger when opportunities become available, especially given the dynamic in the renewable energy industry right now.
Okay, and the pipeline of opportunity supports the need for upwards of 100 million at this point.
At this point, yes. If we feel we need more, we can always amend the loan agreement and increase it if necessary.
Okay, maybe you could provide us with just a little more detail on what the pipeline looks like and where you see utilization of this. So that would be helpful. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right. Other thoughts, questions for Nick or Nicholas? Is it Nick or Nicholas? You said Nicholas. I said Nick. Sorry.
Nick is fine. Nicholas is only used by my mother when she's mad at me.
Any other questions for Nick? All right. If I could, then I'd ask for a motion to recommend this item to the full board for adoption.
So moved.
Thanks, Dennis. A second?
Second.
All right. Thanks, Laurie. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. All right. Tell your mother you did a great job, Nick. Thank you.
Do they have to do it with the consent?
Next up is consent agenda. Limited number of items there. Minutes from, excuse me, our last meeting. If I could, unless there's any questions for anyone regarding the minutes, ask for motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thanks, Dennis. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Unless there's anything else to come before us. Our next meeting is in a couple months, November 12th to be exact. And with that, I'd ask for a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis. A second.
Second.
There's a second there somewhere, I know. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion closed. As always, thank you very much for everyone's time, effort, and attention. Obviously, we will pick up all of these items next week at our full board meeting. Thanks so much. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.